This is Brian Schwartz with PubWriter. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do something. This is more for advanced users, but I want to show you how to create your own custom divider or thematic break, as it's sometimes referenced to, or scene break. And the idea is to come up with a consistent look and feel across all of your work, including your books in print and your website. So I created this custom divider for this site here, and the cool thing is that when you build your book in Markdown, all you have to do is put these 3 stars, which is fairly generic for a break, and it will convert it to the divider that you have set up in your theme or CSS. There's a couple steps involved, and I'll just bring over what they look like. So in the CSS right here, which is the CSS I'm using for this site, I added a divider section, and it looks a little crazy here, but I'll show you how to get to this. So this is the CSS for this particular site, and what I did is I added this at the very bottom. So, and I'll include links to all of this so you can just copy and paste. But the site that you are going to need to go to convert your image into this, it's called Base64, and it converts your image into essentially text, which is pretty cool. And you drag and drop right here, and that's what I did here. So once you find your image that you want to use, so for example in here, this is the image right here, and all you do is drag and drop it right in here, and it will do an encoding, and then you can copy the CSS and use something like Notepad, paste it so you can see what it looks like. All right, that's what you need right here. And then we're going to put that into the CSS file, and we'll walk through how to do that. And a couple things that you also need to note. I'm using Snagit, which I use all the time. But you can use any drawing program, and what you need to pay attention to is the image size. So if you look at the image size here, we're at 271 pixels by 50 pixels high, because we are going to need that to put in right here, because you have to specify the height and width. Anything else? Nope, that's about it. So I'm going to walk through how to do that, and then, like I said, once you come up with your own divider, which shouldn't be anything really huge, you know, something around 250 pixels wide, or something less than 400 pixels wide and less than 50 or maybe 75 pixels tall, because it is pretty significant on your own site. Once you start to use it, it's going to appear like this everywhere you've used your dividers. One last thing too is to note that this is a PNG image with a transparent background, because most likely you're going to have a different background to your site. In fact, here's one I'm using a different divider on, and you'll see that because it's transparent, it just floats. If this wasn't a transparent image, you'd have a big ugly block here. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It needs to be in PNG file. Okay, so we're going to go about changing the divider on this site here. So just the demo site. First thing I'm going to do is right-click View Page Source, because I want to make sure I'm editing the right CSS. So in this case, it's the space1.css, and I can click on that and take a look at it. In this case, the divider currently is set up right here on this section. So we're going to swap that out. I'm going to open up that CSS. So we're going to go to PubWriter, CSS, and it's the space, it's in the dev, and it's the space 1. Okay, so we're going to open that up, and we're going to actually copy this first part. So I'm just going to copy divider. I'll include a link to this. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of all this. Okay, so now we've got the divider and the background image. Now we need to come up with the background image. So let's just go to a site that I like. It's called Noun Project. We're just going to find an image to use for a divider for the purposes of this demo. Log into your account, it's free. Okay, and now we're going to find a divider to use. There's so many. I kind of like the camel, so we're going to grab the camel. We're going to download it, PNG, because we want it to be transparent. Whoops. You're supposed to give attribution to, let's try that again. Download, PNG. You want to give attribution to the author. So we're going to go ahead and give attribution. Okay, make a note of that. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. So we're going to open that up. So this is much bigger than I want it to be. And I want to crop that out. I'll provide attribution another way. Let's do it and crop. Now let's crop that a little better. Okay, and resize. Let's take this down to, like I said, I don't want it to be more than about 50 pixels high. Okay, and now we're going to resize the canvas. Let's go. Okay. Now let's copy this camel over and over again. You might want to zoom in. With. Copy, paste. All right, so now we've got our camel divider. Let's go ahead and just crop that out a little better. Whoops. As you can see, graphic design work can be time consuming to get it exactly right. Okay. So one way to make this all one image, I'm just going to resize image. I want to flatten objects, and now we can make this a little easier to work with. Okay. Crop. All right, so now we're going to save this file. We want to make sure we save it as a PNG. And want to put that in one of our image folders. Whoops. PubWriter. And we'll call this, I like the term breaks, so I'll actually put them all here in breaks so you can get access to them. And we'll call this camel. All right, so now we've got the camel break, and what we want to do is we want to Base64 that image. So we're going to find the images that I just created, breaks, there's the camel. So all you do, let's go back to Chrome, is you drag and drop it right here. Okay, drag and drop. then you go ahead and copy CSS. And let's go back to Notepad here. There's the space 1, and this is where the background image goes. So I'm just going to paste that. See, it created that text. But there's one other thing we want to grab. At the end, we need to grab this last little bit. Actually, all of this, including that semicolon. All right, so what it did is it added a semicolon at the end and created a little bit more CSS that we need. So now we've got space 1, we've changed the divider. Oh, one other important thing is the size. So what we want to do is look at the size. The final image is 373 by 50, so we're going to change this to 373 by 50. Then we're going to go ahead and click Save. And we're going to let PubWriter do its sync to the server, which will take a minute. And then we're going to come back to our demo page here and see if this worked. So this is the page before. And now we're going to go ahead and do a shift click to do a hard reload of a page, which is typically a good idea. You want to do a shift click. And when you do, it does a hard reload. Wham, bam, there's the camels, just like I changed the divider. So now everywhere that I used the 3 stars, so let's open up that markdown file. So everywhere I use these 3 stars here, it's going to insert those camels as a break. And that's, again, anywhere I've got these 3 stars. Of course, the background is going to impact some decisions you're going to make. So in this case, black camels weren't necessarily the best choice, so you can make those changes right in your tool. So I use a tool here. You can change the color. Let's make it, I like this bright green. Where's the more colors? Well, we can, let me show you a little trick. So I like the lime green, so I'm going to go to that for a second. Lime green X. So what we're going to do here in the camel, we're going to do a fill. And you can do select color from image. And that's where you want access to your lime green that you can snag. I'll show you how that works. So, fill, select color from image, and now that fill is going to be that green. Okay, so now we're going to click Save. It would have produced a better result had I done that on the original camel. So let's try that. As you can see, that's going to be a much better result. And then doing this than I did here. But for the purposes of this demo, I wanted to just show that. And now we're going to go back to our PubWriter page, and remember we're going to do a shift click to reload. And they haven't changed yet because the image hasn't synced up with the server yet. Remember, it takes It takes about a minute, so if you're a little too fast, you're not going to see the changes. So let's go ahead and try it again. Nothing yet, so we're going to wait another few seconds. Okay, it's still not doing a reload, so let's make sure for a couple of things. One, let's make sure I'm saving the image in the right place. That's camel.png. Now we're going to try a hard reload using the developer. I just hit F12. I'm going to right click, hard reload. Hasn't changed yet. But sometimes the CSS changes don't take effect immediately. Sometimes they take a few minutes to take effect for some reason. Let's go back to the main page. They're still black. I'm gonna have to look into that. But you get the general idea. Didn't anticipate that snag happening, and I think when I come back to this page, it's going to be just fine. Or maybe if I use a different browser. Oh, okay. I realized why. So this isn't actually the image. This is that Base64. So what I have to do now is I have to take that image, the new green camels, and I have to drop this back into here. And then I have to copy the CSS again, and I need to drop it in right here. Keeping note that I've got the semicolon there, and now I can click, oh, and I've got that in there twice. Didn't mean to do that. Looks like that is, that's why I like to drop this into, yeah, it includes the URL at the top front of that, so we don't need that in there. So let's go ahead now. When we click save, again, the image, just because I updated the image, I have to create it to, I have to convert it to the Base64. So you can see, I'm glad that happened. So you can kind of see what you might run into the same snag as I just did and how to resolve it. And then we're going to go back here and wait that minute or so. And when we feel confident that the server, we've given it a minute or so, we're going to do a hard reload. Bam, there's the green camel. So proved it out. I know there's a lot to it, but if you take it step by step, and I will include some step-by-step instructions, you'll be able to figure it out, I'm sure. Again, this is Brian Schwartz with PubWriter. Thanks so much.